Good morning. The chime of the bell beckons us into a sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, where we widen love's circle by honoring the inherent worth and dignity of all. We extend a heartfelt and inclusive invitation for you to join us in meaningful worship and in service to the world. Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta comunidad donde ampliamos el círculo del amor, honorando el valor y la dignidad inherentes de todos. We greet all those who join us this morning and hope those watching the live stream will fill out the online attendance form and refer to the many announcements in the online order of service. This morning, we are happy to have the Sirks family, and they will light the chalice. We ask those here in person to take a moment to check in by scanning the QR code on the front of your order of service. Then, after the service, seek out and introduce yourself to someone you don't yet know. We have visitors every Sunday. Please make them feel welcome, as we always do. Now, please turn in your hymnals to number 311 in the gray hymnals to 311. Let it be a dance. Rise in body or spirit and join your voices with the choir in song.
Shine, let it rain. Share the laughter, share the pain. We gather in community as round and round we go again. We gather in community to offer and receive support, to take time to nurture our spirits, to express gratitude for our lives. May we find together in our time of community inspiration and renewal. May we touch the holy in each other and be touched by the graciousness of life. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the words. Let us gather in community. Come, let us worship together.
Please join me in reading our congregational covenant found in your order of service. Love is the spirit of our congregation. Service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to encourage one another. Thus do we covenant.
is now time for our all ages. And so we welcome children to come up. Parents are welcome to come too. That makes it easier. Come on up and just sit here or on the stairs if it's easier. Yeah. Welcome, come on up, yeah. So this morning I want to start with a question, and it's kind of a funny question. Do you know what retirement is? Can you say? What is it? You get to choose if you keep doing work or not. Yes, that is a really good answer. That's better than the answer I had. Yeah. Well, some of you may know, or some of you might not know, that I'm retiring in a couple of months. Yeah. And so you may have read it in the newsletter, some of you know, but I don't like surprises, and I didn't want any of you to have to endure that either. So I wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And retirement, I'm going to be around in the congregation. I'm just going to be doing different things. Like I won't do Time for All Ages anymore or Closing Circle. Someone else wonderful will be doing that, okay? But goodbyes, retirement is a little bit like a goodbye because it's a change. And goodbyes are important to talk about. I had something happen to me when I was in my 20s. I was living here in Houston, and 3 of my close friends moved away within a period of months. And I found myself being sad and a little bit lost. Have you had a friend move away to another place and you had to deal with that? It happens. Or maybe you've moved and had to deal with that. Yeah. So I was finding myself feeling a bit like not making new friends so much. And I gave it some reflection, and I figured out that it was really that I was afraid that any new friend would move away too. So when you've had a lot of people move away, sometimes you're a little hesitant to make a new friend. But after thinking about that, I thought, you know what? Those friends were so worth it. They brought me joy, I learned things, and whenever someone's new in your life, you get to figure out a new way of looking at the world. And so it was worth it. I learned that. And the other thing I've learned over time is that it is possible sometimes to keep in touch with people even if it's changed, right? Even if they move away or something's different. It's a little bit harder, but it's really good. I started doing Zoom with a very good friend when COVID happened, and now we meet every month by Zoom, and it's really great. So there are ways to keep in touch, but it can be harder. And sometimes it's also sad, and it's okay to be sad. And when you share your sad feelings with other people, it really can help. It can help you get through it, you know? So, and there are also opportunities. Now, do you have any ways that you've dealt with loss that's happened in your life that you want to share this morning? She wants to share toys and candy. That is a good friend. That is a good friend. That is very, very nice. That's a good way to deal with losses. You give gifts, right? Yeah. That wasn't a hint that you give me a gift when I retire. That's fine. Okay, I didn't plant this. Any other ideas? Yeah. His friend David moved away, but it wasn't too bad. That's good. That's good. Yeah, you felt out a way to deal with it, right? Well, maybe some of you have ways, and maybe you can talk with your friends and family about them when you go home. But I wrote a song about this in the last 2 days, so it's a little rough, but I want to share it with you anyway. And before we start, I wonder if you know the word inevitable. Inevitable. Do you know what it means? It means it's gonna happen. It's just gonna happen. And this song is not called retirement. It's called change. So change is inevitable. So you ready? I gotta remember to turn this on so y'all can hear my ukulele. There you go. And it's the blues. Change will happen each and every day. change is inevitable, you'll hear people say. Sometimes we must say goodbye or accept something new. So what do we do? Can you sing that with me? So what do we do when change is coming through? Sometimes a friend like David moves to another town. All the smiles you shared turn upside down like a frown. And it's so sad to think I can't play with you. So what do we do? So what do we do when change is coming through? We'll give some answers later. During this time of transition and change, things will shift and get rearranged. Even some missteps and mistakes will come through. So what do we do? I got a whole choir. So what do we do when change is coming through? Change is coming through. So what do we do? We can stay in touch, though it's harder to do. We can look ahead and see a new view, like from the mountaintop. Maybe we find a way to be of use. That's what we do. That's what we do when change is coming through. So I have a few more ideas and I'll just add them on now. We grow our wings and feel our roots. Notice the ways we already grew. You hug me and I'll hug you. There are so many roads we can take, not just a few. We can open our hearts and minds to something good that's new. Reach out to our community when we're feeling blue. That's what we can do. That's what we can do when change is coming through. Thank you for indulging me. And so now we're going to go to our groups. Are you ready? Okay.
I ask that the congregation look in your order of service. We have a song called As You Go, and the lyrics are right there. So please join us as the younger folk head out. During a time when the events of the week have our minds frantically jumping from concern to concern, we welcome a respite. During a time when our emotions have us seeking a sense of grounding and assurance, we welcome a time to breathe together in calmness and community. During a time when the noise in the world seems to be a never-ending roar, we welcome a time of silence. And so, with intention and care, we carve out a time to enter into a time of stillness, a time that may bring us a new peace and understanding. This is a time that some call meditation and others name prayer. God of many names and mystery beyond all our naming, today we name you the Spirit of spring and new life, and as the Spirit of renewal. The cycle of life is powerful. All that lives will die, all that dies has lived. The cycle and renewal continue. The leaves we gathered in autumn are now compost, helping us ready the gardens for planting. The cycle and renewal continue. The cycle has seasons of struggle and seasons of delight. But sometimes, like now, the winds of struggle blow, even as we welcome the new growth. And we're distracted from the abundance of green and vibrant colors that spring promises. We call upon hope. We are here together, breathing together, holding one another through the thick of it, surviving together, singing and laughing in the face of it. We seek one another, for no one can do this alone. This is what our journey to love, liberation, and community looks like. May what holds us in bondage to loss, hurt, and heartbreaking limits be released. May what gives us life, renewal, and joy be claimed, and we call upon hope. May we sink our roots into what grounds us, even as we reach for the sun. May we, after a season of loss and winter struggles of heart, mind, and spirit, open our hearts to the flowering of this season and the abundance of creation that surrounds and sustains us. And may we never relinquish hope. We pray in the names of all those known and unknown, present and absent, remembered and forgotten. We pray in the names of all helpers of humankind. Amen. We now pause together to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Patty Ryan has gone to a skilled nursing facility to resume her physical therapy. We send her positive wishes as her health improves. Our good wishes also accompany Marilyn King as she prepares for a medical procedure next week. Pam Perry's brother-in-law, Darrell English, passed away Thursday morning after a brief illness. We send our condolences and love to Pam and her sister, Lauren English. We hold in our hearts all those whose communities are being threatened by wildfires across Texas, as well as those families affected by the measles outbreak. We put this book in the foyer so that as you enter, you may share with us joys and concerns that you would like us all to know about. And today, Thomas asks for prayers for Bobby Campbell. We now turn to a practice inspired by African, indigenous, and pagan traditions. We say aloud or bring to mind those who we wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. In this great cloud of witness and memory, amid this beloved community, we hear these names and hold them in our hearts. Let us remember the suffering and joy amid and among our community that we do not know. We now enter into a time of stillness. Thich Nhat Hanh told us, all the wonders of life are already here. They're calling you. If you can listen to them, you will be able to stop running. What you need, what we all need, is silence. Stop the noise in your mind in order for the wondrous sounds of life to be heard. Then you can begin to live your life authentically and deeply. In the spirit of love, hope, and compassion, we enter into a time of silent prayer, meditation, and transformation.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values and through which we may live out our principles in the world. This week, we are donating to Barrio Dogs. Barrio Dogs has been working in the Houston Greater East End since 2010 with the mission of raising awareness about proper animal care and the importance of spaying and neutering. This morning, we welcome Megan Pantuliano from our church's animal ministry to tell us more.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here today on behalf of First UU Animal Ministry, and I want to take a moment to thank you all in advance for your generosity this Sunday in supporting the important work of Barrio Dogs. Although they aren't with us today due to their 15th anniversary celebration, Barrio Dogs sends their heartfelt thanks and looks forward to joining us over the next 2 Sundays. For those who may not know them, Barrio Dogs is a local nonprofit dedicated to improving the lives of animals in Houston's underserved communities. Through spay and neuter services, education, and outreach, they break the cycle of pet overpopulation and promote compassionate, responsible pet ownership. The funds we raise together help provide free spay and neuter clinics, education for children and adults, and crucial support for families with pets in need. Barrio Dogs also works with policymakers to strengthen animal welfare laws and create long-lasting change. Their work aligns beautifully with our Unitarian Universalist values, promoting justice, compassion, and respect for the interdependent web of life. And none of it is possible without the support of caring communities like ours. Thank you again for being part of this mission. We look forward to welcoming Barrio Dogs to our services soon and continuing this meaningful partnership.
Thank you, Megan. Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service next to the name of the shared offering recipient. And those watching on live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We ask you to give generously. An offering will now be gratefully received.
I invite you to say the dedication to the offering, which can be found in the order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives and these our offerings. You might pick up, I'm sharing several bits of wisdom by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Vietnamese Tian Buddhist monk, peace activist, and poet this morning. I didn't set out to do that, it just, some of his words seemed to align with what I wanted to say. So this is an excerpt from one of his writings. I have spent much of my time building communities, and I have learned a lot from it. In Plum Village, we try to live like an organism. Our basic practice is seeing each one as a cell in the body. And that is why fraternity, brotherhood, sisterhood became possible. When you are nourished by brotherhood, happiness is possible. And that is why we are able to do a lot of things to help other people to suffer less. This can be seen, it can be felt. It's not something you just talk about, it's a practice. It is a training, and every breath and every step that you take aims at realizing that togetherness. It's wonderful to live in a community like that, because the well-being of the other person is also our well-being. By bringing joy and happiness to one person, we bring joy and happiness to every one of us. That is why I think that community building, Sangha building, is the most important work, most noble work that we can do. Here ends the first reading.
The second reading is Vulnerability by the writer and poet John Rodell. Vulnerability doesn't mean telling others what happened to us across a cafe table or from behind a microphone, and then going home from the experience feeling just as alone as you did before. Vulnerability means allowing your human heart blanket to get sewn to other heart blankets. It's about connection. We don't share for status. We do it for synergy. We don't confess for clout. We do it to build community. We tell our tale to invite others to tell theirs. It's the sacred cycle of storytelling. We gather in a circle of trust and say, "Here is my journey." Then we listen to the other journeys that are shared. We take space, and then we give space. We pour, and then we absorb. We speak, then we listen. We are storytellers, then we are witnesses. Vulnerability isn't just about grave digging in our past to expose our skeletons. It's about sewing quilts. Here is my patch. Here is your patch. Here is their patch. Here is us. Here is our story. Here ends the second reading.
Please open your hymnals to number 138. These things shall be. This is a familiar tune, though these new words may be new to you. Please rise in body or spirit and join your voices with the choir as we sing.
Light of
I can usually draft a blurb and catchy title to let you, via the office staff, know what the main idea of my upcoming sermon will be. Then, a couple weeks later, I sit down to begin writing. Invariably, I then wonder how my idea can possibly be expanded to sermon length, which I admit is an imprecise, if not nebulous, way to measure time. But once I dive into the subject, before long I realize I won't be able to include everything I might like to share, and sometimes even resort to cutting out humorous anecdotes about Broadway musicals. For instance, one about Fanny Brice, Barbra Streisand, and the song and sermon title, I'm the Greatest Star. In January, our Future Visions, Future Selves topic was death, and I set out to explore the topic via three aspects: societal, personal, and planetary. I spent a bit of time talking about the planetary aspect, including the Big Bang and the Big Crunch. It occurred to me that since this month's topic is a future among the stars, I might continue with some ideas I wasn't able to fit into that last sermon. In that sermon, I paired creation myths and metaphors with scientific theories. Now, I use the term myth not as in untruth, but as in a traditional story that sets out to explain the world around us, and may be essentially true while not necessarily historically or scientifically accurate. In the Hebrew Bible, the Elohist writer put down, "In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light,' and there was light." Now, I suggested that perhaps those words used an understanding that was possessed somewhere between 1000 and 800 BCE to describe the beginning of creation. Whereas today, we might say, approximately 13.8 billion years ago, the universe expanded faster than the speed of light for a fraction of a second, a period called cosmic inflation. When cosmic inflation stopped, the energy driving it transferred to matter and light, the Big Bang. Let there be light, and there was light. Just as many faith traditions believe God is omnipresent, present everywhere at all times, 70% of the universe is dark energy. I further theorize that dark energy may be, or perhaps contain, what many think of as God. Within Shinto, the indigenous religion of Japan, natural events are considered to be manifestations of heavenly energy. I then described the theory some have put forth called the Big Crunch, when the expansion of the universe reverses and the universe recollapses, described in the Hebrew Bible as, "Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it." And in the Hindu scriptures as, "We will attain permanent union with infinite intelligence." So now that I've caught you up, this is the spot where I want to expand upon today, because I want to share why I don't think my interpretation will gain traction with most people, at least not most Americans. It would confirm that, yes, at some point after our death, we would be rejoined with a Creator, with our loved ones, and even with our childhood pet. But as energy and dust, we may or may not have any awareness of this. And I don't think most folks, nor their egos, would find that comforting. Many people, I think especially Americans, have very distinct ideas of not only what comes after death, but how they as individuals will experience it. Having eternal life in a communal sense, our energy big banging and big crunching forever, doesn't sound as comforting as walking through a paradise flowing with milk and honey, even a UU paradise with almond milk and unfiltered fair trade honey. So people want to personally know and enjoy the events happening in the hereafter, And doing it communally and unknowingly, even if it would be, in a sense, what was hoped for, isn't going to fly. Living our lives personally or communally, inward-facing or outward-facing, if we begin as energy and stardust, then return as such, then this individualization only happens for the brief time that we're here on earth as sentient beings. After we're born, preoccupied with other things, then pass away. As Mary Oliver asked us, tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Now, another of my all-time favorite quotes, which I've no doubt shared before, is this excerpt from a letter that Albert Einstein wrote to Robert S. Marcus. A human being is a part of the whole called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. He experiences himself, his thoughts and feeling, as something separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of his consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few persons nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty. We are all part of the universe, but a part unable to be separated from the rest. It seems that since we began communally and end up the same way, perhaps it would make sense to live that way as well. This realization is more in tune with Eastern philosophies than Western, which view the self as a separate individual entity. Eastern philosophies deny the existence of the independent entity of self that Westerners presume exists. Eastern philosophies view the self as an illusion, what Einstein referred to as a kind of optical delusion of our consciousness. They believe we are all interconnected and part of a greater universal whole, what Dr. King called the inescapable network of mutuality. One of our UU shared values states that we honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. Hindus believe that the Atman, or human soul, is a part of Brahman, the soul of God. Atman is part of Brahman and therefore cannot be a completely separate entity or self. Buddhists believe that we are all so interconnected that there can be no distinctions of self made between us, and the self is ultimately an illusion. So, how have we come to have an emphasis of self over community here in the West? Personal religiosity and communal religiosity have long been intercorrelated and endorsed by Jews, Catholics, and Protestants. Speaking in a broad sense, religion for Jews is about community and biological descent and about personal beliefs for Protestants. One of our Unitarian Universalist sources points to Jewish and Christian teachings, and we share an emphasis of community with our Jewish friends. I believe this informs our shared eagerness to work for social justice. We have parted ways with our Protestant friends, at least insofar as they have creeds to express their shared personal beliefs. We do not ask that you share a belief with those seated next to you this morning, only that you agree to treat one another well. This is why Unitarian Universalism is covenantal, not creedal. So, why the shift to individualism? Scholars believe it was a development across several religions based on the concept that God is just. People came to believe it just wasn't fair that bad people should be treated the same as good people. Scholars tell us by the 1st century, Judaism generally believed in judgment after death. It is suggested that the Jewish people adopted this belief from the Zoroastrians during the exile. But more likely, the concept that God is just and wouldn't treat good and bad people the same developed across several religions. Others speculate that focus on individual salvation gained traction in the Middle Ages. when personal examination of conscience and confession became more mainstream and personal, devotional practices came to be emphasized. Now, we then jumped upon to what became the United States. After the Revolutionary War, the settlement of the American West began. Rugged individualism, as in people priding themselves on being independent and self-reliant, is a term coined by Herbert Hoover. Because the American frontier was generally sparsely populated and had very little infrastructure in place, individuals had to provide for themselves to survive, in isolation from the larger community. This likely altered attitudes on the frontier in favor of individualistic thought over collectivism. Of course, the idea of rugged individualism continues to be part of our culture. A Pew Research poll found that 57% of Americans valued a non-interventionist government over one that actively worked to further the needs of society. And the areas of the country that were part of the American frontier for longer and influenced by the frontier experience were found to be more supportive of Republican candidates. Now, this is just a personal observation, but it seems to me that the further west you go, the less likely you are to avail yourself of public transportation. People want to be able to jump in their Ford F-150 and leave when they want, drive as fast as they want, and return when they want. Additionally, one scholar argues that the moral contradictions provided by the chattel slavery system in the American South was a major impetus in a theological shift that led to a much more individualized American approach to salvation. Let me break down that last sentence through a bit of a UU lens. While our history is by no means spotless regarding slavery and racism, during the 1800s, Unitarians were some of the most outspoken opponents of slavery. Second, our approach to salvation has been universalism, meaning the belief that everyone will eventually receive salvation. Some universalists have advised we need to learn to get along with even our enemies because we're going to spend eternity with them. Because of these concerns, or lack of them, it allows us to think more communally. Our covenants with one another and the world are emphasized more than our beliefs. And creating beloved community here on earth is more important than what may or may not happen afterwards. So, why all this talk about individual versus community? 2 weeks ago, Reverend Colin encouraged us to be part of a community guided by compassion and empathy during times like these. Last week, Rosemary Bray McNatt gave us 6 actions we can take on behalf of others as well as ourselves. Along with leaning into our spirituality and cultivating joy, she advised us to create spaces of belonging. And I'll add one. Rather than doom scrolling on social media this week, go to our YouTube page and watch or re-watch her sermon. We are emphasizing and will continue to emphasize community because that is how we will make it through this mess. And I think you know what mess I'm referring to. And I also believe a lack of concern, if not downright disdain for others and community, helped get us in this mess. We got here because of people concerned with their own salvation over the saving of the community. We got here because of the settlers' alleged divinely ordained destiny for westward expansion. We got here because of the white nationalism of both manifest destiny and slavery. We got here because of people believing they were better than others because the color of their skin and how much property they own. Glennon Doyle, the author and queer activist, wrote, "Privilege is being born on third base. Ignorant privilege is thinking you're there because you hit a triple. Malicious privilege is complaining that those starving outside the ballpark aren't waiting patiently enough." So these how many years later, we're faced with an administration that is proudly doing all it can to denigrate and be cruel to anyone they see as below them, which means anyone other than straight, cisgender, wealthy white men, and further elevate the egos and bloat the pocketbooks of themselves and those like them. I'm going to go more into that next week. If you need examples of this racism and cruelty, there are many. It's become so rampant that the mainstream media has begun reporting on it. I cite but two. 47's executive order this week repealed Lyndon B. Johnson's 1965 executive order on nondescription and federal contracts. This means that the federal government no longer explicitly prohibits contractors from having segregated facilities, such as bathrooms and drinking fountains. Welcome to the 60s is no longer just a song from the musical Hairspray. According to the UN World Food Program, it would take $40 billion a year to end world hunger by 2030. Elon Musk is currently worth approximately $321.4 billion. It fluctuates by a couple billion a day depending on how his stock is doing. He isn't just choosing to not end world hunger. He has eliminated programs that were in place 3 months ago to give aid to the poorest and the hungriest. This is what Reverend Colin has called the politics of cruelty. 2 weeks ago, he spoke to the lack of empathy currently not only not being demonstrated, but applauded. I will simply add this quote by Gustav Mark Gilbert, the American psychologist best known for his writings containing observations of high-ranking Nazi leaders during the Nuremberg trials. He wrote, "I told you once I was searching for the nature of evil. I think I've come close to defining it. A lack of empathy. It's the one characteristic that connects all the defendants, a genuine incapacity to feel with their fellow man. Evil, I think, is the absence of empathy." So, here we are. We have a self-centered religiosity which has morphed into Christian nationalism versus a religiosity concerned with others and community, which has become looked down upon by the right as woke and weak. Stories are surfacing about those who voted for 47 who have lost their jobs. They're appealing to him for their job to be spared because they like what he promised to do. They just don't want it to happen to them. They do not realize we are all in this together. I would sooner engage the politics of compassion and empathy. I agree with labor leader and civil rights activist Cesar Chavez, who said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others, for their sakes and for our own." So, if an overemphasis on self and ego got us here, how might our community help us while we extricate ourselves from this mess? A community has been defined as a network of people with shared values or intentions, and I like to think this church fits that description. But it's also well reported that there's a so-called loneliness epidemic, with people spending more time alone and less with others. Despite, or perhaps because of, being online more, we feel more disconnected. But belonging to a community provides the interpersonal support human beings naturally need to survive and thrive. Having a strong community creates a support system in times of need or crisis. Not just when the country seems to be pulled apart at the seams, but when you need someone to watch your kid, drive you to the airport, or run to H-E-B while you're sick. Being a part of a community isn't just a convenience. It's a reassurance to know you're not alone. Of course, admitting we're only human and need the support of others takes a bit of humility as well as admitting we're vulnerable, especially for rugged individuals like us. But that's another sermon. At some point after our death, I believe we'll be rejoined with the Creator and loved ones. in a cosmic community as energy and stardust. At that point, power and wealth will have meant nothing. Once we are again all stardust, no one will be the greatest star. What will matter and live on is the kindness and compassion that we exhibited as we embraced others and our community during our brief time here. Amen, and so be it.
I invite you now to take a look in your order of service for the words to the closing hymn, Answering the Call of Love. Please rise and body your spirit as you join your voices in song.
Please join me in reading the words to extinguish the chalice found in your order of service. We extinguish this flame,
But not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. I close with these words by Thich Nhat Hanh. With faith in our community of two or more, we can go anywhere. When the three roots of faith, practice, and community support have fed us deeply, then we will be solid both alone and in our relationships. We will not just survive, we will flourish. Go in peace, go in love. Have a blessed week, and may we gather safely in community here again next week.
halfway through the wood. Others may deceive you. You decide what's good. You decide alone. But no one is alone. People make mistakes. Fathers, mothers, people make mistakes, holding to their own, thinking they're alone. Honor their mistakes, everybody makes one another's terrible mistakes. Witches can be right, giants can be good. You decide what's right, you decide what's good. Just remember, someone is on your side, someone else is not. While you're seeing your side, maybe you forgot they are not alone. No one is alone. Hard to see the light now. Just don't let it go. Things will come out right now. We can make it so. Someone is on your side. No one is
Thank you for joining us. We want to know who you are and would love to connect with you. Please fill out the link to the online attendance form, and if you are on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're interested in joining our congregation, email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much.